Oh hi, welcome back to another episode of Blackdotminiatures and Paints. I'm Kevin. This week we're bringing you an Ultramarines Intercessor. I was sitting there looking at my different stuff I could paint to show to y'all, and I said, eventually I think I'd really like to have just a showcase of different chapters of Space Marines, their power armor, and what they look like. So you have your Ultramarine, you have your Space Wolf, so on and so forth, all down the chapters. So this week we're doing Ultramarines. Maybe next week we'll bring you Dark Angels. I'm not sure, but let's check it out together and go from there. Alright, so after we hit this dude with a Vallejo Black primer, we came through with this Minitaire Royal Blood. It's really close to the Calgar Blue, so I felt perfectly comfortable using that instead. Obviously use Calgar Blue if you've got it, if you want it to be an exact match, but this is just a different option, is all. So next I took the Royal Blue, put some of the FW white ink in there, and that gave me about a Calgar Blue color. Perfect way to work it up, get a little bit of highlights in there. I was a little nervous it was going to look like a Space Wolf at first, but this stuff mats back down, dulls down, so it ended up perfectly fine. Alright, so the next step we did here was we laid a gloss coat down on him, and then we made our own oil wash. So all that is oil paint mineral spirits. You have it with a gloss coat on top of this, and it just seeks out all the dang crevices, does all the work for you. It's essentially recess shading, but on cheat code mode. So after you do that, you are going to have to do some cleanup steps. I went ahead and filmed those so we can take a look at them. All this is after the oil wash dries, you go through with a Q-tip with some mineral spirits on it, clean up the surfaces. It works out perfectly. So just take your time and don't be afraid to go a little nuts with this stuff. I'm always a little shy on it, and then I have to apply 2 coats. So you can make it pretty dark and it'll still leave a good result. Alright guys and gals, so time to embrace the suck edge highlighting. Space Marines always look a million times better whenever you actually take the time and sit there and kick in all the edge highlighting shit. Dark Angels, they do not look the same unless you sit there and edge highlight everything. If you try and cheat highlight, it looks like a salamander. So you gotta embrace the suck, you gotta make it work. So here we started out with Calgar Blue, but we also did have to switch to a Calgar/Fenrisian Gray because of some of the brighter areas on this model. It wasn't doing it. It was actually tinting it down for my edge highlight to use the Calgar Blue. So on these models, just embrace the suck, take your time, get it done, and it'll make it look so much better. I promise. Alright, so finally moving away from the blue, we're on to Retributer Armour. We're going to do the outside of his pauldrons on his shoulder pads here. We're also going to do the Aquila on his chest, and he's got a little hanging doodads on both his right and left shoulder pads. Doesn't take too much skill here, just pick out the colors, be careful so you don't mess up our previous edge highlighting in blue that we sat there and laid down, but super easy mode on these shoulder pads. So these Ultramarine models certainly have a lot of metal on them, way more than the gold. It surprised the heck out of me. Here we're coming through with the black for the casing to the rifle. We're going to hit anything that's going to be silver eventually. The pistol, the grenades, creases in his body armor, parts of the power pack. I mean, there's a million of them. Just work around the model, pick out the parts that are going to be black or need to be black to be silver later, and it'll look great. Alright, so now we're on to LeadBelcher. We're going to pick out all the metal bits to his gun, the barrel, the gas tube, the sights, mag, all of that, and then we're also going to move back onto the back of the power pack. Those are really the only 2 sources of silver on him. Don't forget, if you have your model with the pistol, if you have him with a grenade, grab those while you're at it. So to go ahead and start picking out his leather holster and pouches, we're coming through with Mournfang Brown. It's going to take 2 coats if you're working thin enough with this. Going from that hard blue to the hard brown, it's just a really weird change. So take your time, 2 thin coats. It's what's going to be needed, otherwise it might look a little bit gloopy, okay? And we're also going to go ahead and hit Screamer Pink on the rope on him. Again, this is just what I know this to be. Screamer Pink's always what I see these ropes as, so just give it a little bit of attention. It works out like a champ. So the last base color we're going to work on is XV88. We're just going through and giving a nice dark tone to his face. We'll come through and highlight that with Cadian Fleswash later on, but just to give it a nice dark starting point, we're going to go ahead with XV88 on this one. So the next color we came through with was Cadian Fleshtone. Honestly, I ended up painting over all of the XV88 with Cadian Fleshtone. I still stand by my point that you can do 2 thin coats of Cadian Fleshtone and it's going to look just fine. That's basically what this ended up being. After we established that, we came through with Reikland Fleshwash. We put it on his chest, put it on all the little gold bits on him. That's really it. We kind of tried to do a little bit on his shoulder pads, but it's a little scary when you're working right next to that blue, so just be careful with it. Finally, well, nextly, we came through with this Agrax Eartgshade. That's just for his leather pouches, the holster, and then we went to known oil. So with the known oil, all it is our silver bits, the barrel, the scope, power pack, stuff like that. So once we get these 3 washes out of the way, we don't have to look at them again. We're done with washes. So after doing this last time, accidentally picking Emperor's Children, I wanted to try it again, see if I liked it just the same. I really think Emperor's Children does a very good job highlighting up to Screamer Pink. It's a little bit different than the ropes that I've done in the past, and I really like it. You should at least give this a shot rather than using Pink Horror. So to start highlighting up the face, we went with Cadian Fleshtone and Fleswash Flesh 1-to-1. Just went through, mixed those together, and started picking out some of the high points. We want to do a large highlight to start with, and then we're going to start refining it gradually as we go through with a brighter and brighter color. So I went ahead and took XV88. We did a perimeter highlight around the different pouches and around the holster here, and then what we ended up doing was some cross hatching to kind of give it a worn leather looking effect. Try this out sometime, see if y'all like it. I think it turned out pretty well. So then we went to Fleswash Flesh just by itself. Again, we're working in smaller and smaller highlight areas. These intercessor faces actually do a really good job giving you a good opportunity to really put in some work on the face. Give it the attention, give it the time, it'll pay off tremendously. So again, last time we did 50%, now we're doing maybe 10-20%, and we're just working smaller. We're going to highlight it up one more stop with some white mixed into it next, but just that's all we're doing, painting by numbers. So staying busy while the face is all drying up, we switched to Liberator Gold. Here we're just picking out the little bit of gold around his body. We're picking out some of the more curved surfaces at the top of the shoulder pads where the light and the gold is going to glint a little bit more. We're picking out the outside 50% of the Aquila. We're picking out the top of the skull and the little doodad on his gun there. It's really simple to sit here and highlight this up. Traditional metallic metals are very forgiving on the blends, so you can be really sloppy. Alright, so here we moved on to Runefang Steel. All we're doing is picking out the parts on the silver that are going to glint. So we've got a round barrel, we're going to pick out the top part of it. These round parts of the power pack, same thing, we're just picking out part of it following the curvature. We're also doing some edge highlighting on the vents. So if you've been watching my videos at all, you know that I really like mixing these two colors together to get our final highlight of golds. It's Runefang Steel and Liberator Gold mixed 1-to-1. It creates a very awesome highlight color for all these golds. So all we're doing is picking out the top parts where it's going to glint the most. We're picking out smaller portions of the highlights. We're just working around the model, looking for places to drop it in and make it look interesting. Just take your time, get creative with this. Stare it down for a while and it'll turn out great. Alright guys, so here's our finished product. I mean, he turned out looking great. He looks like an Ultramarine. That's what they are. They're one color armor with edge highlighting and told to kick rocks. So I think he turned out great. Hopefully y'all think so as well. Again, guys, thanks for coming back, checking me out week after week. I figure let's go ahead and do an Ultramarine video because it is one of the most popular armies. If I can go ahead and get a large amount of people to sit here and use some of this information, take some tips away from it. It's going to help a lot of people out in the long run. So we're going to start with Ultramarines. We may do Blood Angels. We may do Dark Angels. I don't know. We're going to find something to do in the future. But guys, I appreciate y'all checking me out week after week. If you found something you like here, please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you liked it enough. Share it to a buddy who's maybe starting an Ultramarine army. Let me know whatever y'all guys would like for me to get painted for you, and we'll see if we can put it in the queue. Well, thanks for checking me out. We'll see y'all next time, okay? Bye for now.